something popped up here and there for one of my kids, then I kind of flipped out and was trying to correct. Hi guys, Sarah here. Welcome back to the Zebra Tribe fam. So today's video is going to be touching base on, it's on the topic of homeschooling and the curriculum that we've used. So last year we used an online curriculum, and that's kind of like what I want this video to be centered about. It's kind of, I will share a couple tips and tricks about using an online home curriculum, but I will be talking mostly about the pros and the cons of it, because that's what we used last year for the very first time. It was very different for us, and I definitely want to share that with you guys. And a few of you guys have voiced that you would be interested in hearing just my experience. So as you guys know, in the past we've always just done book-based. Honestly, my book base has been very different than a lot of homeschoolers because I kind of build my own curriculum. I would go to like various stores like Scholar's Choice, I don't know, any kind of bookstore that had like homeschooling curriculums and stuff like that. Sometimes I'd get things secondhand if I could, just to kind of piece together and make my curriculum my own. It's kind of funny because that's what I did for many years, but it's not until like I found like a group of women, or I found like an actual homeschooling community, that I realized that, wow, like I guess my curriculum was very different. But it didn't really matter to me because overall what my kids were learning was fantastic. They were learning what they needed to learn, they were doing their work really well, and they were progressing really well from doing the book-based work that we were doing. Ideally, I think a lot of people venture out and feeling like they have to buy like severely expensive curriculum. I don't know, because it's just, sometimes it's just the name, sometimes it's just also the frenzy, I don't know, what do you call it, like it's like the phase at the time, or the fad, everyone's chasing it, so everyone else wants to kind of do the same thing, or to be able to say they do that. And I mean, of course there are other legitimate reasons as well, such as the fact that it's just convenient, it's a great program in itself, or whatever it is that, you know. But overall, that's what I've done, and that's where I was at. Last year though, we actually decided to dabble into a curriculum that was introduced to us a year or two before, but I was like, I'm not gonna venture out and I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm just gonna stick with what I know and what's been working really well for our kids. And that's what I kind of did. I blew it off the first 2 years, but last year, I'm not even gonna lie, like a big part of it too was just financially, because I think it's important to be able to touch base on that. Like with homeschooling, it's not always financially feasible for a lot of people who'd love to do it, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to have, I should say we as a family as a whole, we've been fortunate enough to do it, but it's not always financially feasible if you to do it if you aren't careful. So anyways, last year things were just a little bit tighter. We needed to get a brand new vehicle, we needed to get a vehicle, we needed to do, we just had a baby, just things were just a little bit different, and obviously it's not that long since we've been in our new family home, so things were just a little bit tighter. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll still get what we typically get, but maybe I'll just give this one a shot. And we decided to give it a shot, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I ended up kind of liking it. That said, it doesn't mean that there weren't any cons that goes in with doing your work online. So I guess I'll just kind of start by listing off. I'll let you guys know what program I'm talking about. First of all, the program that we were using was called Easy Peasy Online Homeschooling. The name alone, it sounds so cringy, but then when it ventures off into high school, it's called All-in-One Homeschooling. And that's a part of the deterrent for me initially. I'm like, easy peasy, huh? I kind of just ignored it because the name just sounded so ridiculous. I know, I don't want to insult anyone by saying that, but the name alone just sounds, I don't know. Long story short though, I decided to give it a shot, and we actually really liked it. So starting with the pros, the curriculum is well laid out. It doesn't get any more straightforward than that. Like, it's listed out for you. What kind of happens is your kids go on to the site, they log, like there's no signing in, you just log on to the homeschooling site, you click on your link for your grade, and then you click on level 1, 2, or 3 depending on where you are at, and then you kind of just go through and you follow each day, beginning with day 1 all the way up until I think day 200 or something, or you know, whatever the number is that they completed that. I don't remember everything. I'm a mom, okay? So that's what they do. So they log into day 1, and day 1 has everything listed out that they should be doing, and it's like math, language, history, gym. They even have gym in there. All these things, they're all included in it, and you just keep going through each day. So the kids start off and they just keep kind of going through it. And I'm not gonna, oh, I must say that they always start off with devotional. So they are reading the Bible for about 40 minutes. Like, they're not reading it entirely for 40 minutes, but they do have to answer questions pertaining to it. So that's kind of like how they start and they progress through. The format was great. The material was great. It's really well thought out. It's really well designed, and it's easy and straightforward. If you've got kids who can read really well, who can follow instructions really well, they'll do good at this program. They will. Now, there were some cons that I think there were some things that were definite cons for me. The first was the fact that it is online, so your kids are on the computer a lot more than necessary, or that you'd like, you know, and that was a little different because I was used to them always just doing book-based work, and now all of a sudden they were doing just work online on the computer all day. So that was an issue for me. I had to look it up to see, do my kids hurt their eyes staring at the screen this much, you know, because their work was intense. The workload is intense. Like my kids all chose the academic stream, and so the workload is definitely intense. And that's another thing. If your kids aren't used to doing a lot of work on their own and are not self-learners, as well as they just kind of, you know, they need more one-on-one and stuff like that, it probably is not the best choice, even though there are different levels. I can't even speak for that fully because we didn't try out the other levels, so those are there, and that's an option as well. So anyways, I digress. Back to what I was saying with regards to so that was my first con. When it comes to the learning for me, because I am in Canada, a lot of the material for, say, history it's American based, and nothing is wrong with that because it is kind of like a part of world history. But at the same time, that's where it lacks for me. I'm Canadian, we live in Canada, and it didn't incorporate a lot of Canadian history. Not that our history is that long, is that vast or extensive, but you know, that is what I would definitely think is like a bit of a con. It was a con, but not at the same time, because my kids did learn a ton about American history. I also say, being that your kids work on the computer online, you have to be mindful of that because it's online and you still have to be very careful. Overall, things were pretty good for us, but we did have an encounter here or there where just pop-up ads might come up because some of the sites or some of the program itself has links, and the links are what, like if you were to do something and you were to learn about world history, and there would be further learning that could happen, but you'd click on a link to go outside of that, which is fine. But sometimes like little game ads and things might pop up, and sometimes they can be a little inappropriate, so that kind of stuff is not good. You really have to be careful, and this is where it's probably good to have security type measures put on your child's device that they're doing their work on. Something popped up here and there for one of my kids. Then I kind of flipped out and was trying to correct Charlotte's tablet and make sure her security was on, and it kind of erased it just locked her out of her tablet. And we ended up having to reset her tablet and wipe out everything that was in it, which was really sad, and I felt really bad. But that's kind of the, you know, things that you have to worry about. But overall, I really enjoyed the program. I think we're going to be using it again this year, but we will be incorporating some of our own stuff as well. Math is really good in particular because it does have like Sal from Khan Academy, as well as various like reputable professors who are well versed in math, and they teach it really well. The only thing with this kind of learning is that your teacher who's teaching you is not always there to your face. And so even like if mom and dad come over to help and we assist and correct, it's not always the same. We're not, you know, it's a little different because sometimes as math is progressing, I find that they're changing a lot of they're changing things. Math stays the same, but the way they do certain things or apply, you know, the way they apply certain things and change up equations, it's a little different than how we used to do it. And so that's where I fall short sometimes, because I don't want to teach them old ways while they're busy learning new ways, and then I don't want to mix it up. So it can be frustrating, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's pretty much my experience with it so far. I feel like I'm trying to wrap this up really fast because I see my camera light flashing. I might do a part 2 to this if it's necessary, if you guys have any questions about it. But overall, my kids learned really well through it because they're all really, they're like self-learners. They can read instructions really well. They can follow it for the most part, like overall pretty well. And yeah, they need like very little assistance and guidance. And so that's another thing on its own. If like you just don't want to kind of dump them into it to do it on their own, but you also, I think a big part for me is to always every day just touching base with them, seeing where they're at, double checking, asking questions, just glancing at their work, knowing what they're doing and how well they're progressing, stuff like that, just so they're not just left on their own to, you know, their own to just do whatever they want, but they're actually progressing and doing well. So that's another thing too. Just make sure, if you choose this kind of program, if your kids are going to be doing schoolwork online, those are some of the tips that I would offer to you. Pay attention to what they're doing, set up security stuff, you know, to make sure that they're okay. I also kind of limit screen time. I find that I have to create breaks because my kids, they are hard workers. They'll work hard and do their work continuously. But if I don't stop them sometimes to go say have lunch, go do this, then they'll just work continuously until God knows how long, and next thing you know, like they've just been staring at a tablet for like 5 hours straight, which you don't want either. So you got to just pay attention to kind of stuff like that. Create little mini breaks, and yeah, just make sure. Oh, one more thing, it's also flexible. Like you do your work on your own time, so it's not like it's not, if you miss, you know, sometimes we missed a day because of something, but they can just go back. It's like we ended at day 32, mom, so now today we're at day 33, even though we missed yesterday. We just kind of pick up where we left off. And I mean, I guess that's with anything else, but it's because of the way it's set up on the site. It's very simplified and organized, and there's not much that you have to do on your part as a parent. So once again, that is a pro, definitely not a con. I was very thankful. I think for me, it was probably the most flexible, free homeschooling homeschooling year that I've ever had, because I didn't have to do a ton of planning and I didn't have to do a ton of marking because it also marks. Sorry guys, the camera ended up dying, but as I was saying, marking was definitely minimized, and so that is definitely a pro for us parents. But yeah, overall it was a good experience. Like I said, there are definitely some pros and cons, some things to definitely consider, but I'd love to know from your guys' perspective, some of you guys that are homeschooling or have homeschooled in the past, what did you do? Did you guys use a lot of book-based stuff? Did you do work online, or did you incorporate a little bit of both? I don't know. So I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Also, if you have any more homeschooling questions or questions specific to this video, definitely ask them down below, because then I'll do some I'll do a Q&A or make a video on it where I can answer it a little bit more in depth, because that's what I'm good at doing too, you know. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos on this kind of topic, and yeah, definitely hit the like button and share our videos, guys. We're going to be having a giveaway, which will be coming up soon. I'm still going over ideas. I have it. I think I'm pretty much solidified what the plan is and what we're doing, but I will talk to you guys further about it soon. So thanks again for watching, guys, and much love.
Hi guys, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to join the tribe. Subscribe.